Welcome back to Season 3 of Cowboy Cartel Live, every Sunday on Facebook and YouTube at 8:30 p.m. Central. This podcast delves into all things hats, boots, and everything Western related. We're truly grateful for the continued support from American Hat Company and Joby's Hats. American Hat Company, proud to be an American, proud to wear an American. American Hat is the official hat of Cowboy Cartel. And if you're looking for the perfect fit, look no further than Joby's Hats, our official hat shaper. Visit them in Fort Worth, Texas, or check them out online at jobyshats.com. Cowboy Cartel is proud to announce our new online hat shaping school. For more information, check out cowboycartelgroup.com, and don't forget to check out our store while you are there. We have added quite a few new items, and more are on the way. Now let's check in with the boys to see what's been happening this week.
Hey guys, welcome to this special edition of the podcast. We are remote at the Fenoglio store in the Stockyards, and we're here with Justin, and Conor actually finally joined us for one of these off days. So welcome to Justin, and thanks for having us in today.
Yeah, I was really excited about doing it in the store. I was really hoping we could do that, and I'm glad we could.
Well, it's your 2-year anniversary. We were in here 2 years ago when you guys opened, and we see a lot of changes in here.
Yeah, we got some different shelving set up. Expanded them a little bit, and kind of made it a little more welcoming. That was kind of the idea.
Well, the couches are pretty comfy, and we've got a couple of drinks.
Yeah,
so it's already working out pretty good.
Oh yeah, the bar pays for itself pretty quick.
That's right. Well, we love Fenoglio boots, and this is something we don't get to talk about very often. So we talk a lot about hats. We love hats, but it goes hand in hand. Cowboy boots, cowboy hats. So Conor is wearing. What are you wearing today, man?
Are we talking hats or boots?
Let's talk boots. We're in a boot store.
Well, fortunately, the name is on the bottom of the boot.
It's rubbed off. Oh, on the heel. I see it.
Yeah, it's still there a little bit.
It's still there. I ain't worn these out enough.
Yeah.
These are only 2 weeks old.
Well, Conor has never had a pair of American-made boots, and the thing we love the most about Fenoglio is they're American-made. And Conor, we're going to hook Conor up today with a pair of American-made cowboy boots from Fenoglio, and we're pretty excited about it. I know Conor's excited about it.
I'm excited to put them through their paces.
Absolutely. These boots that I'm wearing, what are these? These are the chocolates?
Yeah, chocolate Fuji. Chocolate Fuji rough out. What's cool about that one actually is it's chocolate Fuji on top and bottom. It's just one side or the other.
I love these boots. These were my very first pair of Fenoglios. If you can't see them in camera, I'll roll some footage into these. Actually, we have a video of these boots, a review on YouTube. So check our YouTube channel. I'll put a link up here. And I got these boots almost 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. They're they're very worn in, comfy. I just put new heel caps on them. Yeah. Fenoglio put new heel caps on them for me.
Yep, just a few weeks ago. So it's like having a brand new pair of boots again, almost. Yeah, and it's going to last you forever. That's the cool thing about American-made products. You take care of it, it'll last forever.
Absolutely. There's a huge price involved in buying quality footwear. You can go out and you can buy a pair of Reeboks or Adidas for $75, $80. And what are you going to get? A year out of them? Maybe. A good pair of boots will last you forever
if they're made properly. Yeah, there's some companies out there that are doing bare minimum, so it's awesome to kind of put them through the paces. Don't get me wrong, we got guys that are trying to beat ours up for sure. Yeah,
I've seen some here where they've been worn out.
Oh yeah.
And you've got a cowboy who's actually wearing them for what their intended purpose is. It happens, guys. Conor gives me crap all the time because I leave it on, and I have no excuse today. But anyway, boots are a tradition, just like a cowboy hat. And tell us how did you get into this?
It started a long time ago. My name's Justin, so I always thought it started with Justin Boots. But, it's fun for me. Lee's Western Wear is really where it started for me. I just kind of spent my summers in there. As soon as I was able to drive up there and not be supervised by my parents, I hung out in the boot store. It's very, very similar to this one, actually, that they sell. Here we just sell boots. There they sell everything. It is a family-owned Western store that's been there forever. But it was just kind of somewhere for me to get my teeth kind of cut into it a little bit, and kind of just start my journey on it. But I've been doing it for on and off for, I guess, now a little over 10 years, 12 years. I've gone in and out of it. I cowboyed for a little bit too, though, but yeah, in and out of it a little bit.
So you are the manager of the store?
Yep.
How long have you been the manager of this store?
Just this year.
Just this year?
Yeah, I got hired on, I guess, in December, and I saw James Fenoglio in Vegas. I told him I was kind of thinking about going a different direction, and he goes, "Well, when do you want to start?" But he kind of jumped on that pretty quick.
All right. But this isn't your first boot store. You came from...
Lucchese. Yeah, my last one was Lucchese. I was there for a good couple years.
Well, Lucchese is a fantastic boot, one of my favorites. They are a very high price point.
Yes, they are.
But it is another American-made product, a good boot.
Yeah, a lot of them are made in El Paso, Texas. I know they've got some in Leon. But,
Absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, they're a higher end dress boot for sure. And I can respect what they've come from and everything like that. I still have probably 15, 20 of them, I think, probably maybe more than that. But I hadn't sunk foot in one of them since I've been here.
Okay. All right. So when you think of Lucchese, you think of tradition and history. Mm-hmm. But Fenoglio also has a history. They aren't just a brand new company. They've been around for a long time.
Well, so the name on the box is new. Them in the boot game is not new. They've been doing it for a good while. They've worked for Nocona. They worked for Montague County Boot Company. They did a few, handful of other companies, but yeah, the name on the box, I think, probably around 2012, 2013. Them building boots. I think it was James Montague before that. That was 2003, 2004, somewhere around that time frame.
So let's talk a little bit about that name, because Montague County is where they're located.
Yep.
Is there any affiliation there? Is that it?
Yeah, it was because the story starts with H.J. Justin. Justin had some sons and a daughter, and they started in Spanish Forge, which is just 10 miles from Nocona, and it was really like the funnel of the Chisholm Trail. So like if any cowboys were driving cattle north of Texas, they had to kind of meet into the funnel of that. And in that funnel, there was saddle makers, boot makers, horse trainers, wagon makers. There's still wagon makers there.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of history in Nocona. It's a little bitty town, but there is a lot of history there. And it's an awesome experience if you ever get a chance to go through it. I know you have. I don't know if you have or not yet, but it is a cool experience. The museum there is awesome. It kind of shines light on American-made boots and kind of where everybody kind of got their start. But no, Justin had a few sons and a daughter, and when he got old enough, or when he passed away and the sons got old enough to run it, they moved it to Fort Worth, and the daughter stayed behind and started the Nocona boot line. And when she passed away, it got reabsorbed back into Justin. It's owned by Justin now.
And they're not doing anything with it at the moment.
No. And so the factories there was still a bunch of factories there. There were still a bunch of employees there. There was still the machinery to do all these things. And there was two brothers that worked for her, and they did private label. They did some other American-made boots from back in the day. Like Larry Mahan's, some of the Cavender's line, stuff like that. And James worked for the brothers, and Trey, our factory manager now, his dad was their factory manager, and I think his dad was their factory manager. He's third generation boot factory manager.
That's right. We did a video at Fenoglio factory with Trey. It was a very short video, but we got to see the entire process. We got there at the end of the day. This was a couple of years ago. You can check it out on our YouTube channel. Very interesting. You get to see how each process happens. I would love to go back there and revisit that. but and that may,
Oh, we can make it happen. We can damn sure make it happen.
There you go. Let us know in the comments. Do we need to go back over there?
There's some machinery in there that I think Trey's dad built, and it's yeah,
The one that turns the boot shaft inside out.
Yep.
I remember seeing that. That was very cool. It's a this is an interesting process. If you geek out on how stuff is made, we got the 1000X video coming. We did this entire hat. We've seen the Fenoglios being made, and we're going to go back over there. I would love to do a custom pair, start to finish, like we did with this hat. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely doable for sure to kind of see step by step on one boot. And unfortunately it doesn't always work that way when you're ordering them, because 12 and 1, for the time for us to make one custom, we can build 12 shelf boots. But we can definitely do something where it shows you process by process by process. But yeah, everybody always has it in their mind that all it takes is doing it. And so everybody's like, they put an order in. How long is this going to take? And our turnaround time currently is about 4 months. Earlier in the year we're about 3. I like to say 4. Kind of over promise and or under promise and over deliver. Yeah, I like doing that. I'd rather it be sooner than later. But a lot of people, you say 4 months, they hear 4 weeks.
4 days.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't understand what true craftsmen sometimes take. But I'll tell you this: our turnaround time's and I'm proud to say one of the quickest around here. There's some other guys that are kind of around us that do pretty quick as well, but I don't know if they're at our price point either. But
I'm glad you brought that up, because there are about 4 or 5 American-made boot companies mass producing boots left in the United States, and the price point on a Fenoglio is fantastic. You do not have to buy a Chinese-made boot or a Mexican-made boot to stay in a good price point for a boot. How do you guys do that?
It's pretty cool. We have a lot of the overhead is, the employee kind of deal, but a lot of the employees are family. There's a lot of them got the last name Fenoglio, I'll tell you that.
Right.
So, there's ways to kind of work our way around that, but we just don't overcharge. We put what we put on the tag is what we believe they're worth, and it's still a quality boot, and we're not gonna rip your head off for it.
Well, let's talk about these boots in particular. These boots, 3 years ago, were $215. Now, obviously, prices have gone up.
Yeah.
That was a very good price for a boot when you could go out and. Lucchese started at $1,000 for, handmaids.
Handmaids, Lucchese's, I know 4 years ago, we were barking around like $700-800.
That's right. The Devon was around 8 something.
Yep.
And
it's goat skin. Or no, it's calf skin, I think.
It is calf, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a rough out, so there's less involved in the finish of the product.
Yeah.
Little.
Yeah, a little bit.
But what are these boots now? How much have they gone up?
They're $399 right now.
$399. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they have gone up quite a bit.
They've gone up quite a bit, but leather, man, it's been a weird year. It's been a weird 2 years, really. But yeah, pretty much across the board. We were about $350 this time last year, but leather demand has gone through the roof. I think it's because of everything that's going on with this fashion industry and everything like that. I feel like everything's gone up though. Especially hats.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're you got 100X on right now. 1000X. Okay, I'm sorry, big bucks. But let's say 100X. So
right.
100X right now. What's it running?
Right at $12.99, I think.
$12.99. So when did you buy those? 2-3 years ago?
To be fair, I didn't buy these. James gave me these.
Okay.
just out of transparency. But I think these are 3 years old.
Okay, so 3 years old 100X.
You're probably looking at, what would you say?
6, 7? No, 8. 800.
8 or 9.
Because the 40X was $570.
It was 540, then 570.
You're right. So
I
it
remember
was
when-
under 1,000.
I remember when the 40X, that was 2020 maybe? The 40X was
540 or
540 or 560.
Yeah.
When I was working here at NFR, it was, I think, 560 for a 40X.
So,
But I mean, everything's gone up.
oh
Everything.
yeah, everything's going
You
up.
can go back to truck prices.
Oh yeah,
that
good
truck
night.
that I'm driving in 2019 when it was new was 48.
Oh
that
yeah,
same truck now is 62.
everything's
Everything's
gone up, and even the trucks to the hats to the boots. It's this way of life. It's so popular now. It's
and
so popular
Social
now.
media has done
Oh yeah.
done nothing but help. Absolutely.
well,
Between
and
social media
movies and TV shows.
TV.
Yep. I'll tell you. We talked about Lee's a second ago. David Lee. His daddy ran Lee's Western Wear for years and years and years, and that's David Lee's only job he's ever had. I mean,
Right.
he's got grandkids now, and I'll tell you this. He went through the Urban Cowboy phase.
Right.
When Urban Cowboy came on to set or came to the theaters, their Western way of life and lifestyle and fashion and all that just went 100 miles an hour, and like it is right now.
Well, I mean, you and I have had this discussion, whether we like to admit it or not. We're in the fashion industry. We've gone
Yes.
around and around on that before.
Well, I told you, and I tell everybody, from a hat shaper to a guy who's selling boots to a guy who's making boots,
We're in the fashion industry.
whatever you're in this industry, this is Western fashion. You are in the fashion industry.
It's not as simple as just I'm in the Western industry. No, we're in
No.
the Western fashion.
Well, and really, you can equate yourself to a craftsman enthusiast almost, because it is craftsmanship.
Oh, absolutely.
Hats, boots, and stuff like that, and how it's made. If you can say you're in the Western fashion industry, but if you're over obsessing on something that's not quality, then yeah, that's fashion. But what y'all are kind of focusing on and what y'all are doing is the right way to do it and the right way it's done and all things like that. So
that's what we're trying to do.
yeah, exactly.
Yes. We attempt to give everybody our honest opinion
Yeah.
of, and look, I wear these every day. I wear Fenoglios because they're comfortable, they're well made, they aren't falling apart. Conor, he goes through a pair of boots every 6 months,
On average, yeah.
and I'm curious to see how long he can
Make
keep
these
a pair
last.
of Fenoglios going.
See, I'm hearing a challenge is what
Oh
I'm hearing.
yeah,
Yes.
I'll challenge you to that.
He's our test dummy.
Yeah, see how long you can get out of them, especially ones I think you had your eye on earlier. I think you're gonna be able to kind of do what you want out of them for sure.
On
Stay
that
tuned.
topic.
Stay tuned for that because Conor's boots are coming up. You're not going to want to miss this. And then check back in with us, and we check on Conor's social media. Maybe we'll make him take a picture of the boots every day for a couple months. All right, once a week. Once a week.
Yeah,
There
I'm
we go. I was
about
gonna
to say,
say, that's asking a lot there, sir.
I can't remember to tie my shoes.
I don't
That's
even
why I
have
wear
to do
boots.
I just wear them every Sunday.
There you go.
There
There you
go.
go. You have video evidence.
There you go.
Keep an eye on our podcast. We are live every Sunday on YouTube and Facebook, 8:30 p.m. Central. And we're going to see what these boots do for Conor.
I mean, I can put them through their paces. Or at least I like to think I can.
All right. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
So are you going to Vegas this year?
Yeah. It's been kind of a mixed deal here recently. We kind of keep jumping back and forth because it is prime time for Fort Worth as well. So I'd like to be here. This store is definitely my baby, and I love this store, and I want this store to do as best it possibly physically can, and I like to kind of have eyes on. So Fenoglio will be there. I'm hoping to be there as much as I can be, but at the same time, not taking me away from here. I've got some good help here, and I kind of trust him with it. But yeah, for right now, the way it's sounding, it's going to be some miles. So it sounds like I'm going to drive out, hang out for about 9 days. That's not the bad part. That's not the bad part. Drive out for about, I think, 9 or 10 days, fly back for about 4 or 5, and then turn around, fly back, and then stay there the remaining, and then drive back. So, and I'm fine with it. I really am.
I mean, that's another discussion we've had was if we ever go to Vegas,
Do you drive or fly?
he wants to fly I don't like the idea of the screaming metal death tube in the sky.
No, it ain't that bad.
I don't mind the drive. You can make it in 2 days.
Look, somebody commented, you said this on our podcast, and somebody commented that they are in agreement with you. And
What was that?
I replied that you cannot let fear interfere with opportunity.
You're correct. But I can still get there in time. Look, I know what time the American train leaves. They leave the day after Thanksgiving. They get out there and have time to set up. All I got to do is tag right in behind them.
All right, so I want to talk about a couple things real quick. First of all, you mentioned this store was your baby.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the only Fenoglio store.
It is not.
And I want to talk about that in a second. But second, the end of the year is huge for the Western industry.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have NFR, and then immediately following that, all of the rodeos.
Stock show in Fort Worth is a big one for us, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So what does that look like? And tell us about the other store, too. So I'll give you a big pile of stuff there.
Yeah.
Just unpack it all.
So the cooler seasons are always the flood when it comes to Western industry. It's easier to kind of have the idea of putting on boots and hats and felts and things like that.
Well,
right?
felts. I mean, come on, that's the best looking, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the best looking hat.
Longer sleeve shirts. Everybody kind of trades their short sleeves in for their long sleeves and all that. But pretty much coming into October is when kind of stuff kicks off for us. And it has, in all the Western stores I've ever been in, there's been a few. It's always the busier time, and he can attest to this because everybody kind of swaps back from the straws to the felt. I will say this: straws. Working in a hat store, there's never really a down season because everybody's always buying straws or they're always buying felts.
You're absolutely correct. I will say we got busy. That first cold snap we got a few weeks ago,
Oh, yeah.
it flooded the store.
Oh, yeah.
It flooded. Everybody was coming in, buying their felts, getting their felts touched up, cleaned up, buying jackets, everything, getting ready.
It hits like that.
There's no slow easing into it.
And I was kind of scared about this year with everything that's been going on, and I went through the 2008 craze, and everything dropping off. I was a real young man then. I didn't really understand what was going on, but I watched it at Lee's kind of drop off a little bit, and then again in 2019 was kind of scary a little bit. I went to sell horse trailers in 2019, and I did that for a few years. But it's still the same kind of industry, the same kind of, my customers here are the same kind of customers I was having there.
Well, here's the difference, right? So when you have the boom like you had with in the 80s with Urban Cowboy.
Oh, yeah.
Or the new boom, which
The Yellowstone.
And there's several other cowboy style or cowboy genre movies that are out right now that kind of drive a lot of that. The difference is a cowboy is always going to buy the product, right?
Yep.
Somebody who lives and works in that product every day,
Yeah.
they're always going to buy it. So the need is there. But if you rely solely on that, your business is not going to be what it is today.
Yeah.
And, there's kind of some complacency that can happen when you get used to the boom and then all of a sudden, what happens, right?
You got to stack wood for winter.
There you go.
You got to stack wood for winter. So you got to make it when you can. And then I love the slogan, adapt and overcome. And
that's the Marines.
Yep, it is. And I like the idea of that. I like kind of having the idea of if we're gonna do something, let's do it for seasonal and stuff like that. So there is some stuff that we're actually working on right now that would be easy to sell during the summer. I can't say anything right now because we're in the prototype phase of it right now, but it's definitely way out of left field. I'll put it that way.
All right.
Stay tuned for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep us informed, and we'll tell these guys as soon as it happens.
Oh yeah. You'll be a phone call away. I guarantee it.
All right.
I might need a new pair of boots by then.
Yeah.
I might have worn out these new ones.
But it'll be something something else we can put on the shelf to sell during summer, and so it'll be pretty cool. And there's a lot of going back to what you originally asked me. The busy season, especially in Fort Worth, because of Stock Show, is October till February. And that's when the temperature's low, and it's kind of funny. I say stack wood for winter, but winter's when we're stacking wood.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. We got to stack wood for summer, so kind of it's back other way around. But yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to get back into this. And hang on just a second.
Check out Joby's Hats in Fort Worth, Texas, or online at jobyshats.com.
Hey guys, welcome back. Before the break, we were talking to Justin about NFR and
we're
the
talking
boot
about
store in Nakona.
Yeah,
So we
yep.
didn't get a chance to talk about that. Let's talk about the boot store in Nakona.
So the boot store in Conor was actually the first one for us. It's kind of an outlet. We have an outlet section in there, so like some factory defects and things like that. You know, some cheaper boots that might have a scratch on them or something like that. But it's a great opportunity for a younger generation to get a cheaper boot, even though we are pretty fair priced. It's an opportunity for like high school kids. That's my biggest deal is I want high school kids in our boots because your boot as a kid was probably Justin.
I forget. I could tell you what it was. My boot in the 90s was Justin. Before that, it was like, man, I'll have to think about it.
Yeah, probably like Tony Lama or Justin, something like that. But like, you think of a boot, like, I know for me it was Justin, but my name was Justin, so I just liked it because it had my name on it kind of deal. But, and so I want to be the next generation's boot. And so when kids come in here or go into the store in Nakona, I want to be able to put something on them. So like when they look back, 5, 10 years, 15 years, whatever, it's like, that was probably the best boot I had as a kid. Because my mom still talks about the red ropers. And a lot of moms still talk about the red ropers.
Well, that kind of goes back to American kind of does the same thing. A lot of American hat companies' brand ambassadors are kids because they follow that mentality of if you brand the kids, eventually you'll brand the entire family that way instead of just trying to get the adults in.
Yep.
So I like that mentality. It's a positive thing.
It really is. And, with us being, we're an old company, we're a young company, we've been doing this for a long time. Fenoglio hadn't been around forever, but we've been doing this for a long time, that kind of thing. Like the people have always been there, but has the name always been there kind of thing. So it's one of my challenges is branding and trying to get it out there. And me and Caden Fenoglio, he's one of our owners. Our owners are James, Caden, Mitzi, and Robert, and all. There's a whole mess of them. They're awesome people, and it's an awesome family. But me and Caden are about a month apart in age. So there's a lot of similarity ideas that we have. And Caden, when I first came on, Caden was like, hey, that's a great idea. I had it about 6 months ago. So it's like, okay, that's fair. He's like, you're not telling me anything I already know. And I was like, okay, that's fair. And so, but yeah, going back to the Nakona store is an awesome location. Kayla works there for us on that one. She's awesome. She does. She hat shapes as well because we got hats in Nakona. We don't have hats here because we're right next to the best hat store.
Right.
So
that's right. And you have, what do you carry in that store? You carry American.
We carry American. I know we've got some twisters in there. That's all the ones I know off the top of my head. I'm not there every day like I am here. But Kayla shapes hats. Caden shapes hats. American for the most part. The section of American compared to the section for our other stuff, it's mostly American.
Well, let's talk about that real quick because Nakona and Bowie, Texas are 25 minutes?
Yeah,
less than that.
Yeah, 25.
And so there is a long history between the Fenoglio family and the Maddox family.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of hand in hand. And as a matter of fact, when we did the American Hat Company factory tour 2 or 3 years ago, Cody Bates told us, you guys heard of Fenoglio boots? And I said, no, tell me more. And so that's how we got introduced
kind of intro to us.
Fenoglio, and that's how we got to the factory, and we did the tour, and we met Trey, and all of these things. So, I fell in love with the boots, and, the fact that they were American-made is a huge plus for me.
Yeah. And
in seeing the process and the care that was taken and, the history behind them, it just really, I just loved every bit of it. And so, these are some of the most comfortable boots I own. And let's talk about that because how do you make just a cowboy boot more comfortable? You know, Ariat does it by putting, you know, this much foam in the bottom of it.
That's the way these are.
You know, Anderson Bean does it by putting this much foam in the bottom of it. I took the foam out of my Anderson Beans the other day because they were a little tight, and they are the most uncomfortable boots without it.
Yeah, and you know, I like ABs. ABs are cool.
Well, they got a cult following, right?
Yeah, they really do.
And
they really do.
For what reason, though? I mean, don't hate on me on the comments, but you know, I don't see it.
I'll tell you this. I picked this up, and it when I worked for Luke Casey, it was like you needed to sell it like it was scripture, and scripture doesn't need to be sold, but you need to believe in it like it is. And so, if you sell a product you believe in, it becomes very, very easy to sell. And so, when I'm here, it is almost biblical for me. Like, you know, this product is so well made, and I can stand behind it. I can believe in it, and I know the people that are doing it. I've never been in an AB factory. I've been in some other boot factories and stuff like that. When you go into ours, it really is a touch of America. And I've been in American factories, and you wouldn't think you were in America.
Right.
Kind of give you a little backstory. My dad was in law enforcement for years, still is. And we used to go see him when he was stationed inside the jailhouse. You know, his office was attached to the jail. And the jail, they've got these painted straps on the ground to tell you where you are and where you are not allowed to go. And, certain inmates or certain prisoners have, blue stripe, green stripe, whatever. I've seen those same straps in some of the factories.
Is that right?
Yeah. And it's kind of an eye opener for you. I know it's part of organization, and I know it's part of this is how we get things done the best way possible, the fastest way possible. Efficiency, yes. But I don't want to go to work every day thinking it's a jail cell.
Right. There's enough people out there that look at whatever they do for a living as their own personal prison, or their own personal hell, if you will.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that they dread that Monday morning.
Oh, yeah.
I heard a long time ago, it was a statistic, it said most people have their first heart attack Monday morning between 8 and 9 a.m. People literally dying to go to work.
Oh, yeah.
And not in a good way.
Hey, look, I did the same thing for 20 years. I was an engineer. I hated every minute of it. I made a ton of money. It was great. That part of it was great.
Right.
But doing what I love, something you're passionate about, that is so much more rewarding and so much more fun than just working for a paycheck.
Well, true. My dad told me many, many times throughout my life, you work to live. You don't live to work. Not to mention, the same old adage everyone at some point has heard, you love what you do, or you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
I've done this in the hat business for 10 years.
How often have you done this?
This? Never. So if I'm a little awkward, I do sincerely apologize. We have had a couple of discussions about it. I'm working on it, y'all.
Look, so the first real event that you went to was in this last week.
It was last Thursday.
Thursday and then Saturday. And this is, because we've gone to meet manufacturers, and we've had to sit down and, kind of hang out with them. So this is all a progression for you. How do you feel when, we come here or we go to those events? How is that for you? Is it something that you enjoy? Is it something you don't enjoy?
I don't enjoy it at first because I feel like I don't belong there. And this is just me in my own head. I'm used to working in a factory. I'm used to being the guy behind the scenes that no one really sees. And that's just that. I'm okay with that. I've always been okay with that mentality.
But with that, a lot of people want the information that you have in your head. Yeah.
Right. And I have a lot of people that ask me questions on a daily basis, and I can just spout off an answer, and they look at me, how do you know that? Well, I have experience. I can tell you anything you want to know about these, and we've had this discussion already. I can tell you anything you want to know about the hat I'm wearing or the hat you're wearing.
because I've seen me do it.
I made them, but I can't tell you the thing about boots. So it's a cool transition for me to go from that private life, if you will, into this, because people that know, for example, American, where I worked for 10 years, the people that know that company have somehow heard of me or know about the factory, and they can look at me with a different level of respect, and they treat me as equal to them instead of just somebody that makes hats for a living. So it's different. I'm uncomfortable when I get there, but when people come up to me and start talking to me and get me out of my shell, I can enjoy it. I can, just like this. I mean, the first few minutes of this video, I sat there silently. Whereas now I'm able to interact a little more.
That Coors Light's kicking in.
Yeah.
It's our little discussion we have when we change things.
I'll tell you.
Don't break the fourth wall.
I'll tell you right now. There's I've done a few videos in here. I've shot a lot of our boot of the weeks and stuff like that in here, and just having a distraction. And for me, it's gum. If I have a distraction of a taste in my mouth or something like that, it's so easy for me to be able to talk to the camera or something like that.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I mean, I'm having something else I can, every now and then I can reach for it, or I can do something
to fumble with.
It's the ADHD. I can't sit still. And we've had this discussion many times where I can't sit still to save my life. I can't.
We're working
struggle.
on that. We're working.
We're gonna get him a bicycle to sit in the corner with.
Get him a fidget toy.
Peloton. Give me a Peloton. I'll just be sitting over here pedaling away.
Oh my god!
But I can sit quietly and not say a word. But if you want me to interject at the same time, I have to do something. So.
Well,
the derailing is real.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're talking to I just being around here for what 20, 30 minutes now. We're kind of on the same wave right now. It's just it's just clashing together.
Joe's not here anymore. Talk to me.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I'm not going to try to compare to anybody else, but you'd asked about the difference in the ABs and stuff like that, and I'll just tell you about ours. I won't really tell you about anybody else's, but I'm a firm believer in heels. And heels and shanks. I think shanks and heels are what really kind of sets apart the comfort. Your instep has a lot to do with it, but depending if you're more flat-footed or high instepped or anything like that, I think a lot of it comes down to the angle of the top of your foot and the bottom of your foot. And if you've got more of a high instep, I think you need to do a taller shank. If you got more flat-footed, then I think you need to do a shorter heel. But the best thing to do is just try them on. So you gotta find your fit.
So coming from a place of ignorance, forgive me.
No, you're good.
Can you elaborate on those terms? The terms you're using for the people like me who might not be as familiar.
This is pretty funny because I was going to ask him to elaborate on it, but you nailed it. So
the shank is what kind of holds the curvature of your foot right here.
Okay.
I've actually got some in here. We might show you later. We actually use a fiberglass shank, and it's really, really, really hard to break. Like you'd have to use machinery to do it, I think, in my opinion, or some jacked dude. Justin Bentrails back in the day used to use a penny shank, and a penny shank's always been around, but for some reason I don't know what was going on. I don't think Bentrails are around anymore.
Is that a penny nail?
They are still
around. Spoon shank. So it was a melted down spoon, not a penny shank. I'm sorry, but it would snap. It would crack, and there would be a piece of metal in between, and when you were walking, you'd hear it. And what it was metal on metal. Yeah. Oh no.
For me, it would.
No, you'd lose your mind. You'd think you'd being stalked by a cricket.
You assume I ever had one to begin with.
But a shank is kind of just holding the curvature, and then that heel stack. This is where I will say we're different. A lot of companies do it the right way. But there's a lot of companies that ain't doing it the right way, and it irritates the piss out of me, and I can see it. As soon as it walks in, I can see it. They're cheaping out on the heels. What they're doing is making a heel on the inside, either out of plastic or cork or whatever, and then wrapping a piece of leather around the outside of it to make it look like a stacked heel. And, there's a lot of... And I don't mean this in a negative way, but there's a lot of ignorance. There's a lot of unknown knowledge. So a lot of people come in here and go, oh, I don't really like that wood sole.
Yes.
It's like, I don't make clogs, amigo.
Well, I said it earlier. I said it myself.
Yeah. It looks like wood.
Look. Yeah,
you said that. That's what I said earlier. And
looks like wood, sounds like wood, must be wood. No, it is compressed cowhide.
It comes from a place of ignorance. And again, with what I do for a living of shaping hats, people always say, I have a stupid question. Well, the way I look at stuff like that, there's no such thing as a stupid question. If you don't know, you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and if you have the right person...
The only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not necessarily stupid questions. I mean, if you have the right person, whether it's somebody selling you boots, whether it's somebody selling you a hat or shaping your hat, if you have the right person there, they're not going to make you feel dumb for asking a question.
Right. That's a big selling point too. Is educate and elaborate, and don't talk down. There's so many people in this industry that want to look down their nose at you because you don't know, and that comes in the store every now and then, and all you got to do is, hey man, I just want to let you know your hat's on backwards.
That's exactly what I tell Conor.
Myself, I don't know how to. I'll be honest. I don't know how to approach it. I don't know how to approach that. Honestly,
it's easy. You have to let them know. If you're the guy who they came in, and you let them go back out, and then somebody else tells them down the street, you're like, oh, those jackasses at this such and such store let me come in like that.
It's only worse when it's your friends. And you got that missed button or something like that, or something's just not right. I wear a lot of ties, and if my tie's not just the way I want it, and I walk around in it for 4 or 5 hours, and I see at the mirror, and I'm like, why didn't anybody? And I curl my mustache, and a lot of the times, and if that sucker's lopsided, you better tell me.
Some of us don't have enough to mess with.
I'll tell you the funniest hat flipping story. When I was working at Lucchese, I'd bounce back between the main store and the one in the Drover a lot, and I was walking down Mule Alley, and there's all these TCU sorority girls and a handful of frat guys, and they were just having the time of their life, first time wearing boots, first time wearing hats kind of thing, and there's probably about 20 of them all together, and this one little girl in the middle, she was as happy as can be, had her hat on backwards, and I was trying to be as discreet as possible, and I just kind of made a little gesture like, hey, you turn your hat around, your hat's on backwards. I didn't say it out loud or anything like that. And she went, howdy. And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm sorry, but your hat's on backwards. And I said it loud that time, and they all just started laughing at her and stuff like that. And I felt so bad for that girl.
Well, at the
I really
same time,
did.
I mean, embarrassment is a good teacher.
Oh, yeah, he'll never do it again.
He won't do it again.
He'll never do it again.
Hey, look, I tell the story all the time. Well, not all the time, but a couple of times I've told the story where we were in Tombstone, Arizona, and it's a tourist trap. Tombstone's a tourist trap, so we were there as tourists, but we were on our way to Phoenix, and we stopped in there, and we're walking down Main Street or Allen Street, and there's some guys there, obviously new to hats, and got his hat on backwards, and I just go up and I'm like, hey man, your hat's on backwards, real quiet, and I just keep walking, and my wife was like, that was pretty cool, you didn't yell him out or whatever. Because you don't need to.
You don't want to make
what's the point? You want to be the asshole.
No, you don't want to make somebody feel dumb. There again.
Oh no!
If you don't know, you don't know.
You don't want to discourage it. You really don't. Like that's what keeps my lights on, man.
That's
people that want to be like this, and
that creates that negative behavior of somebody. Now they're going to question it. Am I wearing it right? Well, maybe I just won't wear it at all. At least then I don't have to worry about if I'm doing it right.
Yeah. And that disencourage. You never want to do that to anybody. You never want to take that away from anybody.
No.
Hey, look, and conversely, we were at the Provender Hall for lunch, and this was on Saturday. We walked in. There's a guy in there, American hat, patched up, and I said, "Hey, man, great hat." And Conor was like, "Kiss up," or whatever. And I'm like, "No, man, you gotta let these people know you're doing it right. You look good in the hat." Maybe they're the guy who's never worn a hat before.
Not all that confident.
Exactly.
It's funny that you say that because I do that with my customers at the store. When I get a hat and I can tell they're not comfortable with it, I'm like, here's the thing. When you walked into the store and you saw me in this hat, you think I know what I'm doing? Yeah. What if you saw me walking across the parking lot in 10 minutes in my ball cap? You're going to look at me and go, something's not right. Because it's not what you're used to. You're not used to it, but if somebody meets you for the first time, they don't know any different.
Mm-hmm.
There again, it goes to encouraging. I tell my customers, if they're not sure, I'm not going to let you leave the store looking goofy.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that to you.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'll make you look good.
I don't hesitate. I hesitate sometimes because we've got some wild and crazy colors in here. We really do.
Right.
And
it's not for everyone.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. But people will be like, "What do you think about it?" I'm like, "It's not what I wear, but it looks good on you, bud."
I do that same thing. If somebody goes, "Well, what do you think of my hat?" Or
especially in you're all the creases and different stuff like that.
It's not my style, but hey, I just tell people the same thing. Like, what do you think? It's not my hat.
Well, look, your boy Brady, who works in here, that is a different hat string.
Oh yeah,
it's a unique style.
And he rocks it, and that's.
Not everybody can rock that rules at all.
Well, maybe they could, but they just don't.
They don't have the confidence.
That's what it is.
And I respect him, and some people say other things about it and things like that, but I respect him because it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. He's going to do it, and he's gonna rock it every single day. And the reason behind it is because that's how his dad did it, or his granddad. That's how his granddad did it.
Well, look, you guys are both wearing what? That's probably an 8-inch. Both of you about the same style hat.
Yeah.
I'm way narrower compared
You're a little more traditional. This is a little more new school.
So, I get comments all the time. Hey, what kind of shape is Conor wearing? Hey, what kind of shape is Joby wearing?
Right.
And I get some as well, but
not as common.
No, because everybody is. It's what?
It's more new school.
Yes.
It's more popular right now.
I thought you said useful, but.
I don't know about useful.
I said what I said.
I said what I said.
No, it's the wider brims kind of. I've had everything. I've had the Cattleman. I've had the Cool Hand Luke. I had the Brick. I had the Brick forever. And I've done high crowns, low crowns, everything. And my brother's an actual cowboy ranch hand, 7 days a week, and it's kind of he's stuck in his ways. He's really stuck in his ways, and I give him every time. I'm pretty much the guy that gives him boots and hats now. I just like, hey, here you go, kind of thing. And the last 2 or 3, I was like, I'm gonna give you this, but I'm gonna shape it the way I think you need to wear it. And he's like, all right. And then I'll give him one open crown. And he's gonna put a break in it every time. I was like, man, I just think I can break you from it. No, he's right back to the brick. Right back to the brick.
All right, so we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to show you Conor's pick for boots, and we're also going to talk about how to take care of your boot and boot socks, something that I see you guys talking about all the time. And so hang out. We'll be right back.
American Hat Company. Proud to be an American. Proud to wear an American.
Hey, welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about boots, Conor's boots specifically, and how to take care of them, because Conor has no idea how to take care of a pair of boots. He's gone through, how many pair of boots do you go through a year?
At least 2 pair, at least.
And what do you do with them when you're done?
Usually I just throw them in the trash. I throw them in the trash because the boots, I know.
I could feel it coming.
I felt the judgment. I saw the judgment. I saw the... But
I'll let you finish.
Most of the boots that I'm buying aren't worth fixing.
That's fair.
$200. Yeah. I've never spent more than $200, $250 on a pair of boots.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
I just never have, because I know they're not going to last that long, which is funny because I tell people all the time, if you buy a cheap hat, you're going to have to buy more of them.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, I don't live by that same creed when it comes to everything else.
Well,
only the hats.
I guess you're going to have to toss out all of the cheap boots and only buy quality boots from now on.
You realize that's all of my boots. That's not the cheap boots. That's all of the boots.
I only see you in one pair of boots at a time. You will
We only have 2 feet. What do you want me to wear? 6 boots?
The best thing to keep a boot lasting longer is have a rotation.
Yes.
I've always heard that, and I've never been good at it.
And look, so when I started out doing this stuff, I tried to get into the boot reviews, and it's just not me. I perform better, and I think the content is better when we do interviews and talk to people. My opinion doesn't matter. We want to show subject matter experts and get their opinion. I can tell you all day how to, condition a pair of boots or how to polish a pair of boots, but when we can get somebody on here and talk to you about how to make your investment last a long time, it's better. So tell us, what does Conor need to do? Let's show Conor's new boots.
Yeah.
And then tell us what he needs to do to make these last as long as possible.
So the ones he got, the ones he picked out, this is actually a really good boot for a starter for us. And really, what I like about our boots is that they'd be great for college kids, because college kids are just going to beat the hell out of them. But No, this is bull shoulder, and this is actually the same material that we make our snake boots out of.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm not going to say it's product tested because I'm damn sure not going to do it. But yeah, this is what we make our snake boots out of, so it's it's ideal for snake strikes. But on this one you can polish it up. You can leave it matte like that where it stays kind of vintage looking, or Lou Casey had this whole thing where it was like your granddad's boots, and even in the sales slogan kind of deal, it was like, if your granddad didn't have boots down to pass down to you, here's some that kind of look like they could have been his.
those actually can be polished?
Yeah, you can make these a high gloss if you wanted to. I like the way they look as is because it looks like they're already pretty much broke in. When I designed this one, I had the idea of it already being kind of broke in, kind of deal, and rugged and everything, but just kind of a kick around boot. But this looked like elephant.
It does, or hippo.
Or hippo, yeah. And so elephant and hippo are boots that you don't really condition a whole lot because elephant won't really absorb a whole lot of it. Hippo will a little bit, and elephant will a little bit, but just not a lot. But this one you probably do need a condition, but it's going to change colors every time you do anything to this boot. If you polish it, if you condition it, it's going to darken. You can make if you know what you're doing, I could put a gloss on this guy. But you don't need to. This is an awesome boot as is. We've sold quite a few of them here recently to like music artists and stuff like that because it looks like a rustic boot. It's a different toe. It's our 5-toe. It's our narrow square. It's not a broad square, and it's not our cutter. It's a little bit shorter. But on this guy, if you wanted it to just look like this, all you do is condition it. That's all you got to do. And we're pretty good about low maintenance boots. You still need to maintain your heels. So this is your heel cap. That's your heel. Heel caps are, prone to wearing out. You always get them right around there. And I'll tell you a little trick. If you're wearing real hard on the left or real hard on the right or something like that, it either needs to be tweaked or it needs to be modified, or that might not be the right boot size for you. Okay. Because if you're wearing real hard, just cutting into the side of the boot, even especially if you're towards the front of the heel, that means there's too much play in your heel, and that boot might be just a little bit too big for you or way too big for you. But heel caps are really important to stay on top of. Once you get down to get past that black rubber and you get into that heel, now you just kind of spent some more money, because heel caps for us are $40, heels are $60. And then a full resole is $160. But this is one of the easiest things. Any cobbler can do this. Is just pop the rubber cap on, put another one on, you're good to go. Where if you do a full heel, you've got to have it re-nailed. So you have to pull this whole heel off. You got to pull the insole out and put a whole new heel on and nail it down, everything. There's a little bit more process and a little more time. So if you just want a heel, might be able to get it done, 2 weeks, something like that. But, a new heel cap might be 2 weeks, but like a new heel might be a month. But for us, that is. Other companies are, 6-7 months, but whatever.
Yeah. You mentioned something about artists wearing something like that.
Yeah, right off the top of my head, Ben McPherson. He's a fiddle player for dang near everybody. He plays for Steve Helms and a handful of other artists. But he got this guy and immediately wore it to a Rangers game and did a private party in there. And I got some really cool pictures out of that. Nice. But there's been a few guys come in and buy this guy, but what I like about it is the contrast. That tan and that navy has been an awesome contrast, and that cream pipe. Just simple, just real simple.
Yeah. We were talking earlier before we started. I saw a post in our group. Somebody was asking about an artist's hat, and you mentioned that artist is wearing Fenoglios.
Yeah.
Zach Top.
Yeah.
He's popping off big time right now, which I love to see.
What I love about that whole deal is we ain't paid him a dime to do what he's doing. We gave him some boots in Vegas. Not to say, he doesn't really have a contract with anybody that I know of right now. I don't know. It's not for me to say. But I know a lot of his TikTok, a lot of his Instagram, a lot of his Facebook posts, all of those, he's wearing our red, brown rough out. It's around here somewhere, but it's our OG. It's one of our very first designs. It's a tan, kind of a brown red bottom with the blue shafts and the white pull holes. And I think he's got a pair of our black cherry ostrich as well that he wears a bit. But he's done outfit of the day I think twice, and both times he was wearing Fenoglios, and he called us out. And it's cool to have people in the industry that are to that level, and they're like, hey, this is what I actually enjoy.
Just want to represent.
They just, hey, this is what I actually enjoy wearing. It's nobody's paying me to wear this. I just genuinely enjoy wearing this boot. And, I've seen him on stage in it. I've seen him, in music videos in it. I've seen him on just, social media in it. So that's a cool feeling.
It is. I mean, I'm like a lot of people right now. I love his music. I've followed him for a long time, listening to him and watching him grow. So it's cool to see him grow and still represent y'all.
Yeah.
That's cool to me.
Yeah, we're a big fan of his. We really are. I feel like he's a fan of ours. I shouldn't say that out loud, but I think he's a fan of ours.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Oh yeah. We don't pay. I like him enough, and I hope we have something to do with him in the future. But yeah, he's a cool guy. I like what he's bringing. What I like about him kind of wraps around to us is that it is that old school way of doing things. And I feel like our boots are what your grandfather would have wanted to wear, because we're not building for concerts and we're not building for city folk. We'll sell to them, and we're happy to educate them and stuff like that. But our boots are built for cowboys. Like, our boots are built for the working class cowboy.
They're purpose built.
Yeah. And we do a lot of crazy cool colors, but I love that people want an American-made product. And the education, sometimes that lesson's kind of a hard learn. Kind of like you're going through 2 pairs in a year.
Right.
And,
I'm spending at least $500, if not more, a year on pairs of boots when I could buy one good pair.
Mm-hmm.
And there again, that goes back to hats, like we talked about.
Yep. But no, you picked a really cool one with that bull shoulder.
So let's talk about this one real quick, because everyone is going to ask about this boot, what Conor got. And so the bull shoulder, this is I can feel it's oil tanned.
Yep.
So what size heel?
It's a C heel, so it's a 2-inch heel.
2-inch heel. This does have the ranch tough.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about that in a minute, because it is a rubber sole.
Italian gum rubber.
Italian gum rubber.
We label it ranch tough, but Italian gum rubber, yeah.
And this shaft looks a little low. It's
I designed this one, and you kind of put yourself into each one. When I was cowboying, I had to have stovetops. I had to be the baddest son of a gun on the feedlot or the pasture or whatever. So I needed knee-high stovetops, and I needed to be tucked in and wearing my leggings every day and all that. Now, when I'm in this setting and I'm in and out and as close to a tennis shoe as I can get, but still cowboy boots. So I like a shorter shaft with a deeper scallop, and kind of easier to slip on and off. I whatever makes it easier for me. But shorter shafts are definitely coming back around.
How tall are these? These are
that one should be a 10.
Okay, 10.
Yeah, 10 or 11.
And so one thing I like about Fenoglio is you got a spur ridge
healthy spur
on
ridge.
A lot of them.
Yep.
And it, even if you don't wear spurs, it keeps your pants from dragging under the heel.
Yeah. It helps you at that 2 a.m. stupor too when you're trying to take them off by yourself.
Conor definitely needs that.
Yeah.
But these ranch tough. So really good thing about the ranch tough sole is I like a traditional leather sole, and I do own a pair of the ranch tough soles. I don't have a lot of time on them, but in wet conditions, you got more grip. Mm-hmm. You don't soak that leather sole, so you're not rotting through it or kind of ruining that quicker than need be.
Right. It's a good product all around. Leather soles, you start off slipping, sliding around in the store when you first put them on.
Absolutely.
And you walk outside and you twist your foot on the gravel, and it kind of creates a traction, and then it's not as slippery.
Right.
Where it's kind of the other way around on this guy. You start with traction. So, like, a lot of the old heads and, a lot of the old-fashioned cowboys, as soon as they hear rubber, they're done. Mm-hmm. They don't want anything to do with it because, they think they're going to get hung up in a stirrup or they can't dance out of it and so on and so forth. But you wear these guys for about 8-9 hours and actually wear them like you would your leather soles, it's going to slick out a little bit. I was Red Steagall was last weekend, and they had dances and stuff like that here. And I know plenty of guys that were dancing out of these, and they'll slick out right where you need them to be. But because we run it from toe to heel, you don't open the conversation to moisture getting in between it, where a lot of companies like to do a dress flex where they just do it on the ball of your foot.
Right, like a soul saver.
A soul saver, exactly. And when you do that, the lines, you open the conversation to moisture in between the lines, where we run it from toe to heel. But I've seen calf ropers wear these. I've seen saddle bronc guys wear these, and slide right out of the stirrup when they needed to.
Now, it's all rubber sole construction. There's no there's
a leather
sole?
No, there's a leather capper on top, so it's ranch tough with rubber in between, and then that leather as well. Yeah.
And what do you use for kind of the cushion? Is it cork? What is it?
On the inside?
Yeah.
So you got a leather insole as well.
Well, for the cushion in between the insole.
Rubber. There's a rubber. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
It's like a neoprene rubber.
Yep.
I remember that from our video.
Yep. It's and there's a lot of comfort in there. I've had some issues with my knees and my hip and my ankle and stuff like that, and this has been a game changer for me. Wearing leather soles for other companies, when you work for other companies, you gotta have to ride for the brand, so you got to wear their product.
Right.
I've gotten shin splints on leather soles, standing on leather soles for 10, 12 hours a day. Shin splints, back problems. There's a phrase I use in here all the time. It's there's two things you take your time buying: it's shoes and mattresses. If you're not in one, you're in the other.
Right.
And if you buy them wrong, they both mess up your back. And it is, and I stand by that. I really do. And but leather soles, we still have leather sole. We do. And but
I love the leather sole. So I own one pair. I think between my wife and myself, we own 5 or 6 pair of Fenoglios. And I only have one ranch tough. I think she has one pair of the black Victoria.
Yep, black Victorian. Yeah.
With the rough outs, or I'm sorry, with the leather sole.
Yep.
No.
Ranch tough sole.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And I don't notice the difference. A lot of times.
And that's kind of where we want to be.
Right.
The big difference later on in life is when you start wearing on that one a little bit more, and you start walking on rocks or a gravel road or something like that, where you won't see it as much in this.
Right. You won't feel it
push through. Yeah.
All right. Well, on these boots, what does Conor need to do to take care of them? Because I have spent an enormous amount of time, money, energy, learning how to care for boots. And I'll tell you, a rough out is the most easy thing in the world to take care of. You hit it with a suede brush and you're done.
I use Harbor Freight metal welding wire brushes.
Yeah. So I mean, super easy.
Yep.
When you get into leather, especially oil tan takes a different kind of conditioner, a different kind of polish, a different kind of all of these things. So
it really just depends on the look that you're going for on it. What I find hilarious about this, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the camera, I'll run my finger across that and scratch it, and you can see a scratch there. And because it's oil tan, the oil in your hand will erase that scratch.
Right. And that's good for Conor.
Oh, yeah.
Personally, I do not wear oil tan just because I prefer a veg tan leather. And personally, I like a calfskin. I think calfskin is just the softest. What is this one that I tried on earlier today?
The Havana Nubuck?
The Nubuck.
Yeah.
Man, that thing is
that
like
is
1000X felt.
Yeah.
It's super soft.
That was my first thought when I touched it. Was it felt just like this?
Yes.
It's the same material as Timberland.
Okay.
It's the exact same material as Timberland work boots. And, Timberland sells it as a water resistant, or they say waterproof or water resistant, one or the other. I don't think there's anything such thing as waterproof, but water resistant. So James, one of our owners, loves to do it. He'll pour a bottle of water on top of it, and it just beads up and rolls right off.
Well, you know what? There are products you can get for, the rough outs.
Yep.
And in my video, I actually sprayed these with a protectant, and I poured a bottle of water on these, and it just beads up and runs off.
Yeah.
So there
like
are
a Scotch Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Saphir makes a
Yep.
a product for this, and I've shown that in videos. Check out our YouTube channel; you can see those. I did that at the beginning in case you're at a bar or whatever, you spilled a beer on it or something. It doesn't, but I did that one time, and I haven't worried about it, and I've never had any problems with it. It's not necessary. You can do it, but I have not seen a need for it.
I'm a firm believer on these guys. All you really got to do is condition them. It's all you. And if you want to polish them, you can. You put a little bit of conditioner on this cat, and I mean like about the size of a quarter, in your hand, and then rub it in with your hand. A lot of people, when you use a microfiber towel, when you do that, it takes a lot of the moisture into the towel.
Like that, pull it back.
Yeah, it pulls it back out. So you want to. I always when I do it, I use it with my hands, and you can really actually feel it because some of it's coming into your hand, but a lot of it's going into the boot.
Right.
It's like lotion, and there's a lot of cool products out there. I'm not a sponsor for this product.
This is my next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, this is my next question for you. What products do you guys recommend for your boots?
So there's a lot of good products out there. When I worked at Lucchese, they had a lot of high-end they had a little bitty bottle that was $18, and and it was a cool product. It did what it was supposed to do, but $18 for that big, and I was
last all that long if you actually use it.
I was shining a lot of boots in my store for customers. It was just kind of a hospitality thing, and you go through them like that. So I started researching it a little bit. I started getting into it, spent some time at Tandy's, trying to find the most cost-effective thing. Well, I was in Dollar General one day, and, I was like, I saw a product in the corner of my eye, and it's in the exact same container as like a Hertz ketchup bottle.
Okay.
It's called Leather CPR, and I was like, you know what? We had leather couches in our store there. We have them in here. You got leather everywhere when you're in this industry, and so I was like, you know what? I'll try that, and I'll see how it does. And it's a purple bottle, and it was like $10-12.
Okay.
And it's the size of a ketchup bottle, so it's a good sized bottle. You can get a lot of boots out of it. And I started using it, on first our couches, and then one day I was out of that spray, and I was like, well, sprayed a little bit in my hand and kind of started rubbing on a pair of boots. I was like, man, that's working out pretty good. So I gave it the ultimate test. I tried it on lizard. Reptile boots aren't known the best for breaking in and stuff like that. And we had this, real fine lizard Lucchese boot that was one of mine. I put it on. It was a little stiff. I was like, man, so I really like these boots. I want to make them work. So I soaked that boot in that conditioner and did my hand. And I mean, like if I was trying to fix a sunburn on your skin kind of thing, I was really rubbing it in kind of deal. I let it sit overnight, come back the next morning, did it again, let it sit during the day. Before I left for work that night, I did it again, and one more time in the morning. So I did it 4 times, and that thing was butter soft the next day. I mean, like it almost was like so much so that it was collapsing in on itself. Like it was a sock. Okay. And so I'm a firm believer in that leather CPR now, and it's just it's one of those as seen on TV products.
Okay.
But there's like a whole they have one for granite and marble and all kinds of stuff that are different leather or CPRs, but that leather CPR stuff.
And you can use that on these?
Yeah, you can use that on that. But
you're not using that.
Yeah, I would do very little, very very little. But honestly.
Well, apparently I wouldn't do it at all, is what Joe's saying.
For what you're doing, and day-to-day kind of thing, I don't think you have to do a whole lot to that guy. If you get it muddy or wet, you just clean it off and then condition it a little bit, give it a drink about every 2 months, you'll be all right.
I personally like the Cali Leather Life. I think it's fantastic. It's a product, they're made out of Louisiana, and like they are really only known for high-end saddle makers or custom boot makers. And I came across, Lee Miller was using it on an old pair of boots one day, and I thought, all right, let me try this stuff. And it's fantastic. It's all I ever use now, so that's what Conor has access to, and I cannot imagine him going out and actually purchasing something to take care of anything. So he'll be using the Cali Leather Life, I'm sure.
And people get defensive about it. They really do. And people always wanted to use saddle soap.
Yes.
And saddle soap, there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me on this, and that's fine. You know, you do what you're going to do. I'm going to do what I'm doing. But saddle soap is a process before conditioning.
Yes.
Saddle soap has a salt in it, and it's meant to kind of break up the material or whatever's built up on the saddle.
It's meant to clean.
It's meant to clean. But after you've done that. You've washed your hands with like a bar of soap, and then 20 minutes later, your hands are all dried out. Mm-hmm. You need to condition them a little bit. And so it's the same thing. A lot of people are like, oh, I put saddle soap on my boots. I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. And I recommend, if you can find a clean conditioner, and non-alcoholic, no color base. Don't use color until you need color is what I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so there's a lot going on there. But as far as, conditioning and the saddle soap, that's a process. It's this, and then if you need color, add the color, and then polish.
Yep.
And for me, personally, I don't polish anything but a toe, because once you get up to where your foot actually bends, that's going to clog that up. And when you start bending it, that's where you produce cracks, especially with, veg tan, smooth leathers over time.
Man, I tell you, and I never realized it until I quit doing it. And I saw some videos of me on TikTok that other customers of mine were taking of me. And I didn't realize how many processes I had in cleaning one pair of boots.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to take one more break real quick, and we're going to be back, and we're going to talk more about how to take care of your boots, and then we'll finally get into boot socks, and we're going to see how Conor likes the new boots and how they fit compared to what he's been wearing, because he's been wearing the wrong size boots for quite a while. We'll be right back.
Check out Joby's Hats in Fort Worth, Texas, or online at jobyshats.com.
All right, so we talked about shining boots, but we're going to get a little deeper into it now. You said you had a process.
I really did. I don't do it as much here as I did down the street, but yeah, I had a whole process, and it really depended on the level of what they brought them into me on. I had them bring them into me with fresh cow on them before, and caked up dirt, everything like that. Okay. And so, first and foremost, you rake everything off. If it's caked in crap or anything like that, you start with a clean canvas. So whether that's with a wet rag, or if you're doing with a harder material like an elephant or rough out, you can use a bristle wire brush or a plastic brush if you're not confident behind the wire brush. Once you actually can kind of see what the boot actually looked like in the beginning, I would start with a conditioner base, just to kind of loosen everything up, kind of give it a drink. And once that's dried and soaked in properly, then I would start with a polish and then a paste, and I would use my dressing. But really, with that, because of the way I was doing it, I wasn't doing it on the guy's feet. I was never doing it on the guy's feet. I would always have my hand all the way up in there. And I like to be able to do that and make sure, and especially if it's my product, to see how it's holding up, see what's wrinkling, and make sure there's no, foreign objects in there. But because of that, and it's usually a well-worn boot if they're bringing it in for polish, it's kind of gross sometimes. So what I would do is I would use baby powder. I would, kind of dust the inside of the baby powder, move it around a little bit. But that's always good, too, because it helps you actually slide your boot in every now and then. Okay. But once I had a full kind of deal of baby powder, I'd remove all the loose, and you still have it coated. But that way you're not just sticking your hand into a wet boot either.
Right.
So once my hand was in there, you'd rake, you kind of clean the stitch off, clean the edging off, clean your vamp off, kind of clean your shaft off if it needed to be. Make sure there was no dirt or anything up underneath the boot or any kind of. You always want to be really particular about cow crap and urine and stuff like that, because it will eat at stitch. And so you really wanted to make sure that stitch was where it needed to be. And then I would use that leather CPR and just give it a healthy drink all over the boot, even on the vamp and the welt and everything like that. And then sometimes even the sole. So once, I kind of got to a point where it was well conditioned, but it's a matte color and you want to polish, you want it really shining, kind of military style, or just, Saturday night kind of boot. Once it was conditioned, and once again, I always use my hand. I would never use a rag to do this kind of stuff. I would put about a thumb width of polish and then just rub it on the vent and then rub it all over the boot itself. Then hit with a loose hair brush, horsehair brush, but loose hair, and really get it to where the point where all you saw was the color of the boot. And I'm using clear base on all of this unless I needed color. But you got to be really careful with color matching. I've seen it happen so many times where it was a brown boot, and so somebody walks over there and grabs, oh, this is brown. I'll put it on that brown crocodile. Turns the whole thing green. Yeah. And you can unmess that up, but it's a lot harder process, and it's a lot time consuming, and there's a lot more into it. So put that clear base on it. Which is neutral. Always I use neutral, and then kind of get it to even, and then I would hit it with a paste, a polished paste, and that's what really brought a shine out. And so once again, thumb and just kind of go over it and see if there's any spots that need it more than others. Rub it in with the hand, then with a brush, and then once you're down to that process, I would hit it with a microfiber towel and really kind of pull a high gloss out of it. And a weird thing that I used to do down there, it was redressing your edging, your heel, and even your sole. So on a leather sole, you notice it comes from the factory dressed. Yes. And that's kind of like a seal, like staying in your porch. It kind of keeps water out and stuff like that. So I would actually go to the lengths of redressing the bottom of the sole itself. And I had a cool thing. Don't try this at home, kids. But I would actually light it on fire and let it sit and then blow it out. And then I would redress it again. And then I would actually put a paste and a polish on it too. So it looked like it did from the factory. But when I laid it on fire, it would kind of set in a little harder, but it would help with the water resistancy on the sole itself, which I always found to be a positive thing. You just got to be really careful. You don't want it to burn too long or burn your stitching around the edging as well. But I think it would elongate the life out of the boot as well. So, and then your heel the same way. But you got it. If you're gonna dress it, you got to polish it. So when you dress it, it would have this almost gasoline look onto it, where it was like chemical kind of deal. Right. And so when I was doing it, the customer was usually leaving with it within that hour. So I would start working on one, get it to that level, set it down, then start on the other one, and then when I was done with got the other one to that level, I would go back to this one, wipe it with a paper towel, kind of remove any residue or anything like that, and then polish. But and then do the other one. But I can't tell you how many times I went home and my fingers would be orange. Like it would be black, orange, all different colors. And but yeah, it was a cool process. But it really was. People would come in there and be like, "How long is it going to take?" And I would be like, "Man, depending on how good you want it and how bad it is, kind of deal." But I've had one pair take me up, 45 minutes to an hour before, but it was just, caked and stuff, Right. But
so what is this? This is a smooth ostrich on one side, and then on the other side,
it's just got a little bit of quill. Yeah, it's not a high risen quill, but I like smooth ostrich because of that. Because sometimes you can get them smooth all the way around, or you can have a little combo cut there. So you never really know what you're going to get with smooth ostrich. But we're pretty good about making the pair match. But not they won't match another pair, but they'll match themselves.
So, do you guys have any ostrich leg boots?
I've got one in the store, in here, and then we can make them,
So, funny story, I ordered a pair of Lucchese ostrich leg when I was down in Austin, and it took months to come in. And when it finally came in, didn't fit. Couldn't get past the turn.
Was it a shelf boot or?
Oh, it's custom order.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You ordered them in Austin?
Yeah.
When was this?
This was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And so I had to send them back. So I have never had a pair of ostrich leg, but I think they are fantastic looking boots, and I really want a pair.
We called them pterodactyl legs to the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
the kids find that hilarious.
It's so different, right?
Oh yeah, it looks like a reptile.
People say, what kind of snakeskin or what kind of lizard is this?
Oh yeah.
And no, man, that's ostrich leg. But they're a very fantastic looking boot. It's a great looking boot, but
It's very unique.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And so
A lot of times you got to do a tri-cut on those.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. You'll lose. I mean, you're not going to get a one piece, vamp.
Unless you got a real small foot.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But I've seen. We've got one in store. It's 12D all the way down on the very end down there.
I'm not a 12D, unfortunately. But you guys do a lot of custom boots as well.
Yeah, and so we stay away from the terminology custom. We like to call it special order, and the reason why is custom implies that we're going to build you your own last system.
All right, understandable.
Yeah, so we call them special orders because you get to design it yourself. You come in, you tell me what toe you want is the first thing that we cover. You tell me what toe you want, and then we fit you off the shelf. So in here, and the cool thing about Fenoglio is that on both sides, men's and women's, we're actually the same length. It's just different widths. So we have D's and double E's on the men's side and B's and C's on the women's side. And if you come in and when you look at my shelving, the further down you get, the more masculine they look. So I've got 11 and 13 B's and C's because, there might be a guy with a narrow foot and he doesn't really want a tall women's fashion boot. So,
Do you have that on the other side?
I don't. I could. We've made them before. We've made D-widths for women in fashion boots and stuff like that. That's not an issue. I just don't stock them. And so a lot of times it's kind of one of those things where we don't need it enough to justify it. Right. And a lot of the times, if they come in and look at our boots, there's probably something on the men's side that they'll like, or a D-width size.
Well, my wife wears a D-width, and she's got a couple of pair of Fenoglio, but obviously they are not as feminine as they could be. So that's something,
And it's all the way you dress with it and wear it and stuff like that. But like a big popular boot right now is our pinch toe, our puncher line, and they're all pinch toes, and there's some cute colors up there. A lot of our rodeo athletes, especially our saddle bronc and bareback guys, want to wear them because the judges can see the colors.
There you go.
And so it is, and we make kind of an athlete style rodeo boot. And so we've got, Jacob Lees wears this yellow and red. I call it a McDonald's boot. Yeah. But you can see that sucker from the bleachers in like top stands, nosebleed section. You can see them yellow and red spurring down. And so we got, that yellow, red, that cognac. We got that white. I know we've got a bone somewhere. We just got a lot of crazy wild colors. And so it serves a purpose. It really does. We just built it because we thought it looked cool, but it kind of paid off in the long run. But
so walk us through making a custom pair of boots. You can do different stitching. You can do logos. You can do leathers. Walk us through. All right, so Conor came in. Let's go with this first. Yeah. Conor came in. He's been wearing. What size have you been wearing, Conor?
9.5D.
9.5D. And what was Conor? Do you remember?
Sitting right here.
10.5D.
Yeah, 10.5 David. Yep.
So Conor has been wearing a full 2 sizes too small.
Because I've never been properly fitted.
And I don't know how do you not hate life all day long?
Who's to say I don't? My feet and my back hurt every day. I've just learned to ignore it.
Well, these new boots may help your back.
And I, working for other brands, I know exactly what you're talking about because you got to ride for the brand, and my back and knees and all that stuff hurting with them. But once you come over to the what you need to be doing, then you realize, man, I don't have the whole beauty is pain. That is not that's all horse. But so what you do, you come in, you look at our shelf, and a lot of times the way it works is they came in to buy a boot right then and there. Right. Now we do a lot of wedding parties. There is some full intentions on coming in and doing special orders and things like that. We're going to put your wedding date or your brand, or they own a ranch and they want their brand on the shaft and stuff like that. But you come in, you tell me what toe box you like. We try you in that toe box. Then I recommend if you like this one, try that one too, just to be sure. And then we fit you on that boot, and then we go sit at the bar or sit at the couch. Usually it's the bar. We crack open a few books, and if have a cocktail or two. But we go step by step, and starting with the toe, we go and put that on the books, and then we go toe, heel, shaft height, scallop, what size scallop you want. And then we start kind of going really into detail on the design. What color you want your vamp. Usually, a lot of times your vamp will match your back counter there. And then you'll pick color and material, whether it be rough out or slick skin. They're both cowhide. And then we do whatever design you want on the stitch pattern. If there was something special you wanted put on there. Something that I've been recommending a lot here lately is if you do just want your initials, we put it what I call front panel, front panel, where it's just right
great
there.
place for it.
Yeah, it's a little classier than just having your TM or JP or whatever right smack dab in the middle of the boot. Right. You put it in that corner pocket, and when you're, for men, if I'm sitting right there and I have my brand on the inside of my ankle, it's showing. Mm-hmm. For women, they kind of, cross their leg, a different way, and they can put it on the outside. But either way, if you're writing, it's on the outside. If you're sitting like we're sitting now, it's on the inside. But it's just personal preference. And then, we kind of guide you through it, so you have some more confidence on the way that it's going to look and stuff like that. Because I've been doing this long enough that I can kind of build it in my head a little bit and see how it's going to look. But I still do samples on our boots that we design in store, just to kind of, I think that's going to look right, and then hopefully it does, kind of thing. But we've done it enough times. We can kind of tell you yay or nay on something. But you pick your piping, you pick your pulls. If you want pulls or pull holes, we can do pull holes with a seam cover. What color, if you want leather or ranch tough, or we do vibrant soles. We don't do them a lot, but we do them. We even have some wedge soles, what we call lettuce pickers. But no, we can do whatever kind of material you want on the bottom that we have in stock. And from there, depending on the materials, currently, this is late 2024, currently our rough out smooth ostrich, our smooth skin cowhide, all that stuff, we're barking around $750 on starting, and that's just, not putting brand or anything on it or anything like that, just, basic boot. And then our exotics are going to start barking around $950 to $1,000. Now, we were talking about that earlier, how much prices increase. That's why I said here we are, late 2024. Because if you're watching this and it's 2028, that might not be still the same thing.
Might not be. Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Depending on what happens in the next few days, it could go down.
Yeah.
So you've got some samples right here.
Yeah, we got.
Are these only what you have in stock, or are these just potential colors?
I've got some twos and fews in the factory, and another awesome thing about being American made, it's a phone call away.
Right.
If you come in on a Monday through Thursday and sometimes Friday, I can, and it's before 5 o'clock, I can call, or I can call you back the next day, or if it's Saturday, I'll call you Monday, kind of thing. And find out what available leathers I have on hand.
What's that green one right there?
This is a mesquite green. It's
cool.
a really green mesquite, whatever. But it's a really cool distressed material. We do it on a few different boots. I don't have one behind me. I keep looking up here thinking I'm going to have one behind me. But right. We do a gray rough out with this top, and use this on the top, and it's a really good contrast.
Well, this is a good opportunity to tell people what a rough out is, because interestingly enough, it's just turned over, right?
It's just the other side. A lot of companies are using suede leather, and they're not going to hold up as well, but a lot of companies are still using a rough out. And so you got slick side, rough side, inside, rough side, same terminology. So inside out, rough side out, same terminology. So if you want a slick matte look, you can go with that cat. If you want it a little more, durable or easier to clean and stuff like that, you don't have to condition this. You can condition it, it's going to darken it, but yeah, you just clean this with a metal wire brush or a plastic wire brush. It's kind of similar to suede, but it's not suede. It's full grain rough out for us. Yeah. We used to mess around with some suede leathers, but they just don't last as long, and so I want a longer lasting material, so we've always used, or for the most part, we've used rough out.
Well, Conor, pull that out there. So this is a very interesting product, because feel that, Conor. Feel the other side.
Yeah, feel that side right there. So elephant is a very durable material. Elephant ear is a very durable and yet soft material.
I've got 2 pair of elephant boots. I've got. I was gonna have you rub it on your face.
Just reading. That's all.
That's all. It smell funny?
No.
No. It should.
So Connor got to it before we got to him. What is that, Connor?
Nope.
What is it? You got to tell these guys.
Elephant. Something that's in the shape of this.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a little up bigger than that.
Elephant.
Penis.
It's
Yeah.
elephant penis. Yeah.
So I've got 2 pair of elephant
We
boots.
didn't even have to kill him for that. We just circumcised him.
Oh. Oh. Suddenly I just got uncomfy.
I keep talking about Lucchese because Lucchese is what I really started getting heavy into boots with. And I've got 2 pair of the Terlinguas. I got brown and black. And they're a great boot, but they're stiff. Right?
Yeah.
It's a stiff boot. It's
Oh, I can imagine this might get stiff.
Only in the winter.
when it shrinks up.
Yeah. We get a little tight.
So that's elephant penis. Have you sold many elephant penis boots?
No, ears a little easier to sell, but you can get a lot of boots out of ears.
Why?
Yeah. Trust me, there's a lot of guys that want to make that boot.
Hey, I want a pair of those.
Yeah, and it's just not,
The jokes just write themselves, y'all.
Oh yeah. I've seen whale foreskin before.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
I've seen those myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know the guy that hired on to do that job, but it ain't gonna be me. I'll tell you that.
Connor, we had it all worked out. I didn't move fast enough.
Oh,
I was gonna have you rub it on your face and.
Oh yeah, we have people do it all the time. It's a real odd texture, and you really got to get it in the
Read
grain.
that tag.
Yeah, read that tag.
Read that second column. It'll
Yeah.
make more sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no.
You were rubbing it on it like it gave you $20. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to feel what it felt like. I didn't know. I wasn't gonna put it on my face.
Oh, that's the first thing everybody does when they come in here and smell leather. Oh,
Give it a sniff, Connor.
yeah,
Pass.
yeah.
Hard pass. Hard pass.
Oh,
So is this the most ridiculous skin you have? Or
on hand, yeah.
On hand?
Yeah, on hand.
No hippopotamus.
No. I've seen platypus before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and belly side platypus. So there was like a hole right in the middle of it, kind of thing, and it was But no, I'm pretty sure it's backside of them. But no, that is the funniest one I've ever had on my able to have in store and stuff like that, and it's cool for us. It's kind of an icebreaker, especially we get bachelor parties in here all the time, and it's an awesome opportunity to you tell one of them and then let him go.
Yeah.
He gets the rest of them.
Oh, yeah.
And they all start pulling their phones out.
Self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of platypus, is that did Caden or James get those made into boots? Because I was here year or so ago and I found out about it, and I really wanted a pair because it's that's next level.
It was it's cool to point down and say that, hey, that's platypus or whatever like that, but there wasn't like a signature on it that told you it was something different. Like capybara has the dots,
Yep.
Petaruku has the scales, elephant has this like kind of
Beaver tail.
Yeah.
Beaver tail.
Yeah, beaver tail. But there's not a signature on platypus that lets you know that it's if you looked at it, you're like, oh, that could be cowhide.
Yeah. Okay.
We did a boot one time, and I was like, why did we do this? Because it was rough out water buffalo, and I'm
Okay.
like, it just looks like rough out. And I was like, it just looks like rough out. That's all. Same thing. But if you flipped it over, it was a cool hide. But if you did it rough out, it was like a rough out ostrich looks kind of cool. It's a little.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, looks like you threw smooth ostrich in a blender.
One way to put it.
Yeah.
There's so many boots that I want, and not all of them are on the shelf. It's one of those things where, yeah, that's cool. I need to get that, but then you get onto something else, and it's not right in in your face. You forget about it. And so there's many things I want, like Peruku. That's one of the things that I've wanted for a long time. Your what was the one we were talking about earlier that I tried on?
The Havana Nubuck.
The Nubuck. It's such a really great
smooth.
feeling skin.
God, it's smooth, and it's an awesome material. It really is. So that boot you tried on, we originally designed for the 6s. We used to be.
That's right. I remember
We used to be in the 6s supply house. I think there might still be a few floating around in there, but we haven't really sold them any new ones recently. I don't really know why, to be honest with you, but we designed a handful for our boots to go into their store and for their pop-up booth that they set up at rodeos and stuff. But no, it was a really cool product. It still is a cool product. We didn't want to get rid of it, so we've got the 6s one had a collar, had a white collar and a white pull hole, where the one that you tried on doesn't have that, but it's still almost the exact same boot. It's a maroon all the way to the top, Havana Nubuck on the bottom, and then it's one of our better sellers, and so much so that I think I've only got like 3 in the store right now.
Yeah, I don't think you don't have anything in my size. What you had was
like a freaking 12 or 11 or something like that.
Yeah. So speaking of the 6s and speaking of cowboy boots, is it really already? Conor? Okay, thanks. We got to take one more break, and we're going to be back, but I want to talk about real cowboy boots. What kind of boots do cowboys come in here and buy?
And socks.
And socks. Thanks for reminding me. We'll be right back. Thanks. Hey, welcome back. When we left you, we were talking about cowboy boots and the 4.6s, and I want to talk about what boots do cowboys buy? If they come in here and they're a working cowboy, what are they actually looking for? Now, in my opinion, the boot behind you with the orange top, that is something you would traditionally see on a working ranch. Am I wrong?
No, this is a working cowboy boot. It's kind of old heads. That's what they prefer. It's an awesome boot. We actually designed this for the Schaefer Outfitters when we were supplying them with boots. It is a stovetop, and it serves a purpose. A lot of people don't know, but each toe, each heel, each shaft height, it all has its own purpose. Pinch toes are for saddle bronc guys, being able to stab in and out. So the working cowboy, he's looking for a boot that does all things. So pinch toes were made for saddle bronc guys and breaking horses and things like that, being able to stab in and out of the stirrups properly, and if you lose the stirrup, turn your feet in, kind of turn them into hooks. And then a broad square toe is better for a rodeo cowboy that did team roping or barrel racing, where if your foot was in the tip of the stirrup or in the middle of the stirrup or wherever it was still controlling the majority of the stirrup itself. So ranchers and cowboys love cutter toes, because ranchers and cowboys are, a working cowboy is kind of, everything in between. They might be breaking horses, they might be roping cows, they might be cutting cows, they might be doing this, that, and another. They need a boot that can serve all purposes. And so that's where the cutter toe kind of comes into play. And you'll notice, my 2 taller shafts here are cutter toes, and you do a taller shaft to kind of protect your legs through wear and tear. Same reason like your pickup men wear like huge padding and stuff like that. So if they rub, same person's leggings or chaps or whatever, if you're rubbing up against cows, pipes, trees, whatever, it's not just cutting into you. So a taller shaft kind of protects your leg from that. A lot of the old heads and old cowboys, they like to have those taller tops, and then they tuck them in, so they have like another layer of leather, another layer of skin, almost protecting their leg,
right,
and their pants and everything like that. So that's why that serves a lot of good purpose there. It's almost protective. It's almost like, nowadays everything's OSHA certified, so like steel toes, it serves a purpose. Yes. But and it's funny. Rough out, and everybody's got their own stories, and you hear all these things. It's kind of like the boot themselves. You don't know where they started. There's rumors it started in Old Lathe, Kansas. There's rumors it started in Spanish Forge, and Spanish Fort, and so there's nowhere to really know where it started. But one of the stories that I've heard over time, was that rough out was one of the original working cowboy boot materials, is because it was low maintenance. But the reason why it became that was because if the leather was branded, scarred, or blemished in any form or fashion, they were like, well, instead of discarding it and throwing it away, they would they just flip it over and use it as a work material. So I've got pictures of Tom Mix, and rough out cutter toes, and that you're talking about
1920s.
Yeah, 1920s. And so it goes all the way back to that. It's not something new. The suede is what everybody's calling it.
Right. It looks like suede. It looks like suede.
Looks like suede.
But suede is generally
it's
a cheaper
delicate.
product.
Yeah, it's cheaper. It's delicate. It's easier to grab and get a hold of, kind of thing. But where rough out is a lot more durable material. It's a better working cowboy boot. And so,
well, let's talk about toes real quick, because you guys make probably 10 different toes.
Yeah, I know 7, if not 8, right off the top of my head.
This is a 0 toe.
That's our 0 toe.
This is a 5.
It's a 5. It's our narrow square.
And you have everything in between, from snip toe all the way to is there wider than this?
Yeah, we do it's a 4 toe. It's wider, and don't pay attention to the numbers. Every boot company
Absolutely.
has a different number system.
Absolutely.
So yeah, everybody always tries to understand that. And
so if these guys call in and say, "Hey, I like a toe that is narrow square, inch and 3/8, what do you got?"
We give you the variety of a 0 or a 1, and they're both kind of cutters. Our 1 toe is as close to a French toe as we'll ever get. A French toe is not really on our shelf. It's a very dressy toe box if you're not familiar with it.
Phil Casey Devon.
Yeah,
one of my favorite boots.
Yeah,
is a French toe.
Yep.
I wish it were a cutter toe. I think that's a beautiful boot with the burnished leather.
Yeah. And it serves its purpose. It really does. If you've always worn ropers and you want to venture out, you go to a Devon or go to a French toe, and so the broad square toes kind of starting to phase its way out. There's still a lot of diehards that grew up with it.
Thank God.
Yeah. It's kind of comical because you come in. And you put a pair of cutter toes on for the first time, and then you wear them for like a month, and then you look at every square toe ever again as a front porch. It's like, God, that is a huge freaking...
Conor, you came from, before these pair of boots you're wearing now, which is a cutter toe. It's a little narrower than the boots you've picked out, but you came from a wide square toe. And you've gone to this cutter toe. I mean, I don't know how you did it, because I'd have been looking at it and like, that's so pointy, just because of the big jump. And then now you're going to this. How do you feel about that?
This was a boot of opportunity. My manager got these brand new. They did not fit him. He offered them to me for $100. And I said, what have I got to lose? If I don't like them, I'll do like the rest of my boots and chunk them.
Value seeker. He's a value seeker.
Yeah.
Not really.
Well, look, these might be the best boots you've ever had.
Yeah.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're going to put them through their paces. But this really, it took maybe a couple of days of getting used to on the aspect of how narrow it seems. But it really doesn't bother me. I've actually kind of grown to like it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it might actually be almost kind of difficult getting used to this again.
Yeah.
Because that's just a little bit wider.
Yeah.
Not like that broad square toe that I was wearing. It felt like I was wearing, cinder blocks on my feet before.
Yeah. Kleenex boxes.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas these won't feel that way.
So,
but I have always liked that narrower look. I just never knew how I'd like it on me.
From a sales point of view, a single stitch is always going to be more versatile. So a broad square toes are normally double stitch. Mm-hmm. Double stitch is always going to be more casual. That's your rodeos, your concerts, your ball games. Where a single stitch is more,
And it's not necessary.
Yeah, no, it's not necessary at all. A lot of people think it is. Yeah. A lot of people think, it's double stitch, so it's going to last longer. It's stronger. It's really not. It looks that way, but and a lot of people like the wider because, when I was team roping, it was cool to kind of knock your strap or spur, stirrups around a little bit, but it serves a purpose. But you can do the same thing on a single stitch, but the single stitch is more versatile because everything that you can do in that double stitch, you can still do in that single stitch. Not the other way around though.
Right.
And so, like, if you wanted to go to a rodeo or a ball game or whatever, you can wear a single stitch. If you want to go to a wedding or a banquet, you can wear a single stitch, and you can always dress it down. You can always dress it up. But for casual purposes. But no, it's not for cowboying out of, rodeoing out of it. I'd prefer a single stitch forever.
All right, let's talk about square toe for just a second, because there's a really interesting phenomenon happening that I think, and it's people aren't wearing the right size boots, so they go with the square toe, the wide square toe, because they're just not fitting properly in their boots.
You hear it a lot. They come in, and a lot of people are going to pinch toes now. Even a lot of cowboys, a lot of day hands are going to pinch toes, and everybody's scared of them. Normal guys are scared of them because they look at it and they're like, man, that's real narrow. That ain't gonna fit on my wide foot. That's not how it really works. We take that into consideration. It's built on a last system that will fit your foot. If we have to half size up, maybe that might be a thing, but that's the most we would really have to do. But it's built on a last system very similar to the last system that was built on that square toe last. It's just a different toe box, and you take that into consideration. So, like on our toes, the way that a boot should fit, an American-made boot should fit, is no pinching in the toe box, a firm handshake across the instep, and about a 1/4 inch of slip in the heel. And to go into more detail, you want about a thumb width away from the tip of this leather to the tip of your big toe. And so what's going to happen is when you sink your foot into this boot, it's going to be firm here and loose, not loose, but just not tight here or here. And when you break this boot in, this is going to expand a little bit and your foot's going to slide forward. That's why you want that thumb width there. And so that's taken into consideration when we're building these pinch toes. And your big toe should be a little bit further back. It should be right about there somewhere, but it's still going to slide forward a little bit. But we're not going to cram your feet into this little box. It serves a purpose, it really does. But as a visual thing, it's scary to people that have never done it. So you have this generation now that are leaving the square toe, and they come in and they see stuff like this, and they're like, no way, there's no way. But it's snakes and sparklers. You don't sell them. You don't sell them what you like. You sell them what they like. So if you want a square toe, we got you square toes. But if you want to be dressed up a little bit, you go to a cutter toe. It's kind of in between, and it's not as narrow or it's not as broad as that broad square toe, but it's a little dressier. Well, but this is an easy one to convert to instead of that pinch.
Flip that around, because this is where people don't see what's going on here. You have a wide square toe if you look at it from here.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you have all of that
real estate.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So you've got plenty of room down there. It just
doesn't look like it's your brain fighting you. That's all it is.
Yes.
But my brain's told me some stuff too.
All right, let's talk about boot socks. This is a really common question. And surprisingly enough, people want to know what kind of socks do you wear with boots. Conor wears the very thin nylon dress socks just under the heel. I mean, they look like a woman's slipper, but...
I wear Hanes. Hanes Extreme. I don't own a pair of boot socks. They're just socks to me.
Yeah, and you got and it's a generation.
I wonder what my back hurts.
Yeah, it's a generational thing. It really is, because one of the guys that used to work here, my granddad, and I know some older guys that were the same way. They would buy the cheapest ones they could find. They'd wear them 1 or 2 times and they'd throw them away.
Like I said, I've just worn regular socks.
Like everything else I try to buy, I buy American made.
That's hard. That's hard to do with socks.
It's not, but it's not cheap either.
Yeah.
So Wrangler is still making socks
Really?
in America.
I did not know that.
You can get a 3-pack of American-made Wranglers on Amazon for like under $19. When I first started buying them, they were under $16, and now they're under $19. But today I'm wearing, and this is something I've been wearing recently, is the Darn Tough socks. So Darn Tough, made out of Vermont, American-made, on a loom in America,
Really?
with American-made cotton. Fantastic socks. They are not cheap. They're like $25 to $26 a pair, or no, I'm sorry, $25 to $29 a pair, but they're guaranteed for life.
What we actually sell in store is for women, but I've had guys wear them, is those Lucky Chucks.
Okay.
Lucky, and they're American made. And I don't know too terribly much about them. I know the lady that runs it's out of Weatherford, real sweet lady, and she does. I sold a pair to my mom for Crazy Sock Night at church. She's part of the youth church deal, and she put them on. Now it's her favorite socks. And so, but they are about 25 somewhere in their pair.
So they're crazy colors?
They're all kinds of crazy colors. It's kind of barrel racer stuff. So it's right up that alley. But no, I personally wear is Justin's.
Okay.
I wear Justin's boot socks, and the only reason I do it is because for one, they got my name on them, and for two,
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
We got for two the outlet here in Fort Worth, and then there's one in Justin as well. They'll go every now and then. They'll sell bundles of them. I think it's like 4 pair or 3 pair for, I think you can get 3 bundles, so that's 9 socks for like $11.
Oh, that's cheap.
And I haven't worn a hole in one yet. They're very comfortable. They're very I've got, I don't know, that's all I've got in my drawers now. And every time I've gone down in downtown Fort Worth and gone by there, I'll go by there and buy 3 pairs or 3 bundles. But I personally like that. But breaking in a boot, socks matter. Socks do matter when you're in the break-in process. Once the boot is broken in, socks are a personal preference. I don't like Hanes. I really don't like Hanes unless you're throwing them away every time. But like the second time you wash them, they're done. Anything that's like you can buy from like Walmart. I experimented with it a little bit. I had Lucchese socks.
I've got a pair of Lucchese.
I had quite a few of them. There was a few times I showed up late to work and I had a hole in my sock or something like that. This was before I was wearing Justin's. They're pretty expensive too though, but I haven't had a pair yet better than Justin's. And I mean, if I leave town and I only have one pair, I can make one pair last about a week.
Right.
And then before they start turning green or something.
I feel like I'm being called out a little bit. I have, the same pairs of socks for a few years before they start getting holes in them. It doesn't matter to me.
Hey, I've got
Still waiting on my Darn Tough socks.
Hang on a second. We'll talk about that. I've got Wrangler socks that, I've had for 3 years, and they have no holes in them. They last a really long time. And 3 pairs for $20 is not bad, under $20.
Well, you get what you pay for. It all goes back to that same thing we've been talking about this entire time, is you get what you pay for.
Oh, yeah.
All of my Darn Tough socks, I have never had a problem with them. And I've had those for 3 or 4 years, too. They last forever, in my opinion, so far. It's speaking of Darn Tough, they did send us a message. They were going to send you some socks. We haven't seen them yet. We're going to send them a message, and we'll get you hooked up.
I think they shipped them. I think he's got them.
They might have. They might have. I might be wearing them right now.
Yeah. They didn't put your name on it yet.
Makes a lot of sense now. He never did ask me for my address.
But they make the Darn Tough socks in crazy colors as well.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a pair of Captain America ones.
That's your go-to pair.
I love those. Those are my favorites. But I've found that depending on how the boot fits is how you should wear your socks.
Yeah.
Like if you are going to be on your feet all day and your boots are comfortable fitting, maybe you need a sock with more cushion. If you have a tighter pair of boots, obviously you need a thinner sock.
And it comes down to fit. It comes down to material. If it's a lizard, crocodile, or something that's not going to give or stretch a lot, I would maybe do a little bit thicker sock, but it really comes down to the liner of the boot. If it was made out of calf hide, if it was made out of a thin hide, if it's a hide that's ripping or something like that, then, you're going to have discomfort no matter what. And if it's a giving hide, but, my feet swell, and they swelled more with other boot companies, but, here they don't swell as bad. But I'm on blood thinners. I got actually an issue with my left leg that I have to take blood thinners probably for the rest of my life. And so I used to say it because it was hitting me in the face all the time. I was a different size from when I walked in the morning from when I walked in at night. And so I needed rough out because rough out stretched really easily. And here it's not the case at all because of that Ranch Tough sole. I'm a 10.5 across the board in our boots, and it's been really, really good for me and my knees and my blood thinner issue and stuff like that. But I can relate to a lot of our older customers. They come in here, they're all beat up, they're old cowboys, kind of hunched over and bow-legged, and they're like, I need something comfortable and yada yada yada. If you can talk them into doing that Ranch Tough one time, you've got them hooked. Yeah. My job's really easy. All I've got to do is put you in one pair of boots one time, and then it's done.
That's kind of the Fenoglio philosophy.
Yeah, you
try them on once.
Yeah, just got to sell them once. We got people that'll come back, and there's a lot of events at Dickey's Arena and here in Fort Worth and stuff like that. And I think there's a fraternity going on actually right now as we speak. And I think it's like
it's about that time of year.
Yeah, there's one every month, or there's 12 every month, or there's something always going on down this area. And we had a lady come in the other day. She had her moto green, real bright, like neon green with a white shaft and a pink collar. She goes, I love these boots, but I hate the way they look. But they're the only ones I've found. She goes, I bought them on a whim. She goes, I just don't like the color schemes, but they fit me the best, and I love them the best. She bought 10, 12 pair, and she was a little bitty lady, so I think she was a 5.5. She bought every dang near 5.5 I had, and then she started calling her friends. But she was in town for a fraternity. She was a rainer or something like that, and she called every one of her friends, and they all come over. And I guess she won that weekend or something because she was
nice.
Yeah, she was buying everybody boots. So
it's got to be the Fenoglios that helped her win. So.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. But it was like the gospel. It really was. And we preached it to this one lady. She fell in love with it, and she started spreading it.
She did it for you.
You got to try this. You got to try this.
She did your marketing for you.
Exactly. If you do a good job, it'll sell itself.
Hey, look. You know what? There's a lot of similarities between cowboy hats and cowboy boots and buying online.
Oh yeah.
It's always better to try them on in the store,
yes,
get fitted for them, and get comfortable with what you're going to purchase, because it's not cheap.
No.
Right? So if you're going to go out and you're going to spend $500, $700, $1,000 on a pair of boots, be sure that it fits you.
Yeah. And we have an online store, and it does really well. What that really, in my mind, is for is the customer that's already came in once. If you see us, if you're not from Texas and you don't have, we've got a handful. We got about 120 wholesale accounts, kind of scattered over the southern states. If you're in this industry, if you rodeo, if you cowboy, and you go to NFR, that's an awesome opportunity for you to meet us and come and at least try to figure out your size. Hopefully you leave with a pair of boots then. But once you figure out what toe you like and what size you are, that's an awesome opportunity. You call me, you call Kayla at the store, or you go online and buy it that way. But that is the first big process, is come in and get fitted. There's so many companies now that are making so many different products, and each boot company has a signature last, and each boot company has a different fit, and they all have different reasons. Sam Lucchese had a high-end step, so a lot of their boots are built on a high-end step last. Their El Paso ones are. Their Mexico ones are built on a different last. Their Brazil ones are built on a different last, and each one of them serves a purpose. Anderson Bean's the same way. Justin's the same way. Each boot company is going to fit just a little bit differently, but really it comes down to the country that they were built in. I'm a firm believer that the Mexico last systems are tighter and smaller,
Yes.
so you have to size up in them. But there's so many things being made in Mexico and China now that's the norm.
Here's an interesting story. I have lived and worked in Mexico for, well, almost 10 years now. And I've always wanted a pair of boots in Mexico, right? Because
you can get some stuff over there can't get over here.
I mean, you go down there and you see all of these shops, and they've got all these handmade Mexican boots. And I'm not even talking about cowboy boots. You can go to a place and get a cowboy boot, but in these little backwoods towns, you can meet these cobblers and get a pair of boots.
Yeah.
Nothing fits me.
Yeah.
And if you go to even a city, trying to find an extra large shirt, it's not the same extra large, and it just doesn't fit. The fit is different between cultures. And
honestly, what it could be, so going back to what we talked about in the very beginning, Lee's Western Wear, it's been there for a long time. It's been there for a really long time, and it's you go back in the back and you find some stuff that's back there from like the 70s and stuff like that, and a large would fit like a medium, and so maybe that's kind of the same thing down there. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take our last break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about what's coming for Fenoglio and some maybe indications of new stuff coming. Hey, welcome back. We were talking about Fenoglio boots and upcoming opportunities. So I know last time we were in here, actually it wasn't the last time, it was a few weeks ago we were in here, and you were expecting a visit from some production guys.
Yeah.
Who was that?
It was actually Yellowstone. They were filming right down the street from us. We were kind of talking to them already. We had some friends that were already on set. We had a relationship with Mo Brings Plenty.
Okay.
He was always wearing our boots. Actually, one of your new favorite boots, that Havana Nubuck.
Okay.
It was like his go-to.
Love that boot. It's fantastic looking boot.
Yeah. He wore it everywhere. Recently, he got picked up by like Teton Ridge, and didn't really get picked up by another boot company. We got picked up by Teton, which is sponsored by another boot company. So, that's fair game. We loved everything that he did for us, and all the opportunities that he kind of opened for us. But we had a conversation with the costume director for Yellowstone, and they've been filming a lot down here. They've been filming a lot, kind of in these areas and stockyards and surrounding areas and stuff like that. And they're pretty genuine. A lot of their stuff, some of it catches some grief and stuff like that for, costume directors and stuff, because, a lot of these costume directors, expertise was like maybe out of New York or something. So like, I had a rant.
I get it.
I had a rant that I used to go on, and it was on TikTok a long time ago. It was like you could watch Dutton's hat. What's his name? John Dutton. John Dutton's hat in the very beginning slowly start getting better throughout the seasons. Like the shape was, and it was kind of like, okay, has he been hanging around to these cowboys so much that some people are like, hey man, you might want to
take care of that.
Straighten that son of a gun up. It's a little wonky in the back of the beginning, and same thing with Tim McGraw. Look at Tim McGraw's hat from before 1883, and look at the magazine cover he was on. I mean, it's a minic, and it's a wide brim, and it's a legitimate hat.
Not a Black Bailey straw.
Yeah, good night, and it's a full 180, and it's like, these guys. I did a little bit of film over the years with different sets and stuff like that, and there's some hardcore cowboys on these sets, like Buster Frierson and guys like that are like real genuine day hands, and you get these actors around these guys that they're portraying, like, okay, I'm supposed to be looking like that dude. Why don't I look like that dude? And they're like, well, it's what you're wearing, it's how you're wearing it, kind of thing. So they start, I don't need a hat that's pretty much sideways. Oh, I don't need this type of boot. I don't need that type of boot. And they're like, well, what are you wearing? And they tell them. So over the time, and so with all that being said, they were like, well, we need an American Texas-made boot. And, you know, we get a knock on the door kind of thing. And it's like, hey, we heard y'all make some Texas boots in Texas. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, we'd like to put you on the set. So that's kind of how that whole rigmarole went. So I don't know who all's getting them, but I know we outfitted a lot of the bunkhouse and their stunt doubles. So, you know, we sold them, I want to say around 20-something pair. So that's at least 10 people at least. But yeah, it was an awesome opportunity. They've been in the stores, both locations here in Fort Worth and in Nakona. They were in our factory for a little bit and kind of saw the whole process. And, you know, they're kind of coming around to, this is what, you know, if we're going to represent this kind of lifestyle, then we need to do it the right way.
Right. And
us being a good working cowboy boot, I think we fit their bill pretty dang well. You know, it was an awesome opportunity for that. So yeah. But here recently, you know, just by word of mouth, we've gotten our boots on a lot of, you know, celebrities and things like that. You know, I know there's a pair on the Zach Bryan stage. Zach Top, we talked about him earlier. You know, we had a Dallas Cowboy in here yesterday. I'd be lying to you, I wasn't here for it, so I don't know which one it was, but it was pretty cool. But it's cool to have those kind of relationships. But yeah, you know, be looking for some wild rough outs on Yellowstone this I guess last season. So it's coming in a few days.
It is. It's going to be out soon. And if you see them on Yellowstone and you want to know what they are, shoot me a message, cowboycartelgroup.com. Check us out. And what's your email?
Justin at Fenoglio Boot. Fenoglioboot.com.
Justin will tell you if his boots are on there, and I can always get a hold of Justin. And hopefully we can get kind of a look at what's going on in the new Yellowstone season, and maybe we can get a few pairs of those and we can bring them on our podcast, and we can show you. You know, we can do some.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Is if you see it on them, you can get your own kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was an awesome opportunity. I'm glad we jumped on that.
Absolutely, guys. So this has been an awesome experience sitting down with Justin at the Fenoglio store in the Stockyards, and you know, we hope to have him on our everyday podcast, our Sunday podcast, our live stream, so you can ask him questions. If you have questions, obviously leave them in the leave them in the comments below, and you know, we'll connect and we will have him kind of answer some of those questions. But check us out. We're going to have him on, and you can ask him live. So every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Central. Thanks for being here. Conor's got some new boots. We're going to find out how he likes them and exactly how long it takes him to destroy them. I think it's going to be a long time.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's going to take a minute. I think it's going to take a good minute.
See, that's a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
That's a bad idea.
Challenge accepted, right?
Accepted.
All right.
Deal.
Hey, guys, we really appreciate you. We'll see you soon.